Wole Soyinka. Born Akiwande Oluwole Babatunde Soyinka on July 13, 1934, in Abeokuta, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, stands as one of Africa's most celebrated literary figures and a global icon of resistance against oppression. His life and works reflect an unwavering commitment to justice, culture, and the transformative power of art. Soyinka was born into a Yoruba family in colonial Nigeria, an environment that exposed him to both traditional African culture and Western education. His father, Samuel Ayodele Soyinka, was a school headmaster, while his mother, Grace Eniola Soyinka, was a devoted Anglican. This blend of indigenous and colonial influences deeply shaped Soyinka's world. Soyinka attended Government College Ibadan and later proceeded to the University College Ibadan, where he studied English and literature. Soyinka completed his education at the University of Leeds in England, earning a degree in English and later a doctorate degree. In the late 1950s, Soyinka began working as a dramaturgist at the Royal Court Theatre in London. However, his passion for storytelling and cultural preservation drew him back to Nigeria, where he founded two theatre groups known as the 1960 Masks and the Orisun Theatre Company. Soyinka's works, often a fusion of Western dramatic techniques and African themes, address universal issues of justice, freedom, and human dignity. His early play, titled A Dance of the Forest, which was introduced in 1960, written to celebrate Nigeria's independence, critically examined the nation's socio-political trajectory, setting the tone for his career as both artist and activist. Soyinka's activism became more visible during Nigeria's post-independence years. In 1967, during the Nigerian Civil War, he called for a ceasefire between federal forces and Biafran separatists. This led to his arrest by the military government, and he spent 22 months in prison, where he wrote a short drama titled The Man Died, Prison Notes, a harrowing account of his imprisonment and a profound critique of authoritarianism. Soyinka has authored more than 20 works, including plays, novels, poetry, and essays. In 1986, Soyinka became the first African to win the Nobel Prize of Literature, an achievement that brought global recognition to African literature. Soyinka remained an outspoken critic of oppressive regimes, often at great personal risk. His activism extended beyond Nigeria, addressing global issues of injustice and human rights. During periods of military rule in Nigeria, he went into exile, continuing to write and speak against tyranny. Today, Soyinka is celebrated not only as a literary giant, but also as a symbol of resilience and moral courage.
A drop makes a hole in a stone, not by force, but by consistent dripping. Nothing describes this woman more apt than her indomitable and consistent drive for excellence. Born Bilikisu Abiodun Moturayo Omobalanle Adekola on December 24, 1962, into the family of Alhaji Abdulmoshood Adekola, the first grandson of the first Alhaji in the city of Ibadan, and a Cameroonian mother, Mrs. Hannah Aduke Adekola. in the ancient city of Ibadan, Oyo State. While her mother was still pregnant with her, left for England to further his education. And while she was pretty much young, her mother left the country to go join her husband to return while she was 8 years. Meanwhile, she was left to be cared for by her grandmother. She was registered in a private boarding primary school at the age of 4.
My parents had me. My father went off to England to go to school before I was born. He left my mother pregnant with me. My mother had me, and before I was a year old, left to join her husband in England, and I was left with my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother before my parents came back like 8 years after. Spent my first, from at age 4 or 5, I was sent into a boarding nursery school. I lived in boarding school at a very early age because my parents wanted to protect me from becoming a local Ibadan girl.
And she usually attributes these to her early independence and wisdom. Omo Agbanimi, some of her friends sometimes poke fun at her wisdom, which is way beyond her age.
I was raised by my grandmother, so I'm a bit of an old woman in my brain, in how I think, as my friends say.
Her foray into business started at a very young age at her grandmother's shop where she sells salt. Little did she know that this was going to stand her in good stead in life.
My first exposure to business was my grandmother's little shop where she sold salt. And I used to love to sit behind her little kiosk and help her to sell the salt. But who knew I was being trained for business in my future?
While at secondary school, she participated in the literary debating group, excelling in it, which made her consider a career in law, though that didn't last. Also, it is worthy of note that Ibukun Awoshika could hold her own in athletics, earning her the nickname Rabbit because she could really run.
As an athlete, if you want to run, and I used to be fast, they used to call me the Rabbit.
Unsure of what career path she was going to settle for, she considered becoming many things at one point or the other of her life. After secondary school, she thought of becoming a medical doctor, but she couldn't stand the sight of a cadaver, so she let go of that idea. Later on, architecture was another fancy that caught her attention. Similarly, she also considered becoming a chartered accountant. Finally, only see she could work in a bank.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I found out that they work with real dead bodies. I changed my mind very quickly. I then thought, you know what? I'd like to be an architect. I was good in sciences and had a problem if parents sentence you to science when you're good at both. So I ended up in Ife to study chemistry. By the end of my first year, I realized how much I hated chemistry. I could pass it, but I didn't love it. So then I thought, you know, I'd make a good lawyer. I debated throughout school. I used to represent my school in school's debate. So everybody knows that I can win an argument. So I gave it everything trying to change to law. I used to go and sit outside the door of the dean of law. And then one day the man said, "Come, what do you want?" "I want to change to law." "Is that why you've been sitting outside of my office?" "Yes, sir." "Okay, if I only take one person from another department next year, it will be you."
After the completion of her undergraduate degree at the University of Ife, she went for the compulsory one-year National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, in Kano State, where she worked as an audit trainee at Akitola Williams & Co., which later became Deloitte.
For youth service, I did everything to make sure they sent me to an accounting firm. They first sent me to a Muslim school to go and teach. That was easy to solve. I just wore a dress off my shoulder. I went to report. I was immediately rejected. Once they rejected me, I went back to the posting room and waited there for days until they sent me to Akintola Williams & Co.
Although she was later given full employment after her service year, she felt becoming an accountant wasn't a thing.
You would have thought that having done or gone through all that trouble, accounting would be the love of my life. When I got there, Within the 1 year of my youth service, I realized how boring accounting is to me. Because they had all the processes somebody else had thought about before. All I had to do was open old dusty files from company to company without imagination or initiative. I'm a very restless human being. That was not going to work. So I finished the work. I did well. They offered me permanent employment, but I said, thank you, but no thank you. Why? Because at that moment, I had come to a realization that that was not the vision for my life.
After returning home, she joined Alibert Nigeria Limited, a furniture company, as showroom manager. In a word, only to kill time. She only stayed for 3.5 months. She left to begin a furniture manufacturing company called Quibis Limited in 1989, just a month before her 26th birthday. The company later grew into SOUQ Chair Center Limited, following a venture merger with SOUQ SA and Guarantee Trust back in 2004.
But the first job I could find 1 week after was in a furniture company. So I went there to kill time. My kill time project has resulted in 30 years of investment of my life in building a manufacturing group in furniture. So it was never the plan of my life. So some of you will accidentally find your purpose.
One could only wonder what had led her not only to compete, but to thrive in a male-dominated terrain. With over 30 years in business, Ibukun Awoshika is a woman to reckon with, encouraging more women to participate in the business terrain. Her passion to see the girl child not just to be educated, but much more to learn to own our own value and trade with it when there is need for it. Her lifelong ambition is to see herself die empty.
My biggest ambition in life is to die empty. Totally empty. That no talents, no giftings, no opportunities, nothing that I was born to do, that I have the capacity to do, that I do not do.
Following her remarkable achievements, she's been conferred with different doctorates, including one in business, entrepreneurship and human capacity development from the Lagos State University, Ojo. Similarly, she was given a honorary doctorate of business administration from the Obafemi Awolowo University and another from the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Ogun State. Apart from our entrepreneurial prowess, Ibukun Awoshika is an ordained minister of the gospel, a presenter, writer, and a TV host.
The Bible tells us that let every man be what? A liar. And let who alone be true? Let God alone be true.
She hosts a television program called Business His Way. Also, she acted in the 2020 Kunle Afolayan movie titled Citation, which in addition to the books she had written, including Business His Way, The Girl Entrepreneur, The Girls in the Boardroom, and My Thoughts in Codes. In 2004, she earned a certification in Business Administration and Management from the IESE Business School. She's also the chairperson of the Novel Nigeria Office for Philanthropy and Impact Investment. She has consistently encouraged women to take up more leadership positions without compromising their values and integrity. In 2005, she was appointed the MD CEO of SOUQ SA of France, GTB PLC, the Chair Center Limited, and some local investors after the ban of the importation of furniture by the federal government of Nigeria in 2004. Furthermore, it is noteworthy to note that she independently established another ultra-modern furniture facility, Furniture Manufacturers Mart in Ikeja, Lagos. In 2008, she was among 5 Nigerian entrepreneurs who appeared in the first African version of The Dragon's Den. unlike a great deal of others who knew exactly what they wanted to do from the beginning, she admitted to accidentally finding purpose. Ibukun Awoshika is a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, a member of the board of Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, a former chairperson of the board of trustees of Women in Management, Business and Public Service, and a member of the IESC's International Advisory Board. Furthermore, she sits on the board of Digital Jura Limited and Cabri Nigeria PLC. Additionally, she's a fellow of the African Leadership Initiative and Aspen Global Leadership Network. History was made on the 7th day of September 2015. Following the resignation of Prince Ajibola Afonja, she became the first female chair of the First Bank of Nigeria in its 126 years of existence. Ibukun Awoshika's octo-Nigerian father, Abdul Moshood Adekola, who was a great influence in her life, passed on the 20th April 2020 after serving the Lord as an usher at the Fountain of Life Church in Lukbeju. He was a Muslim convert. He was converted few days before his 60th birthday. She got married on her 28th birthday to Abiodun Awoshika, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Excel Exploration and Production Company Limited, and they are blessed with 3 fine young men, Oludola, Olufishika, and Olamiposi. To celebrate a life of impact at 60, friends and mentees surprised Awoshika by building the Ibukun Awoshika Sports Center at our beloved secondary school, Methodist Girls High School, Yaba, Lagos. This project took about 6 months to complete and had some of our mentees like Tara Durutoye and Didi Okuano, Chichi Nwoko, and Bisola Runsewe. They marshaled it alongside a team of other successful people. She stands like Joshua upon the pinnacle of the Horeb, looking to command an army of a new generation of women entrepreneurs that wouldn't stop at anything to achieving their God-given dreams. For her, she believes that regardless of how illustrious her career is and how successful she could ever get in life, her family and husband remain the most important gift in her life. Ibukun Awoshika.
Yes, it's a beautiful day. It's a fantastic day. It's an awesome day. And we are super, super excited. Guess what? It is the Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership that is being flagged off right here at the Federal Palace Hotel. Oh my God.
That thing sums awesomeness. We're being at a place where every conversation about Nigeria's independence happened. And then also thinking about royalty, you know, things that make us feel like we're kings and queens when we come into this place. I mean, I'm oozing with at this point.
You know, talk about the scenery, the ambience, the rooms. This hotel is actually really, really good. And the fact that Femi Walsh is partnering with Federal Palace Hotel doesn't just give me the chills, like it makes me happy. Happy.
We're going to be having exclusive events, coverage, and we're going to bring in our expertise to come and give them that edge amongst
that finesse.
Taking the brand globally through our media. My God. It's not something you want to miss out on this journey that I just started. We're going places, sis.
The Federal Palace Hotel was established in 1960 and constructed by the A.G. Leventis Group. Perhaps one of the most notable thoughts about Federal Palace is that it was used as the venue for independence celebration of Nigeria in 1960. Over the years, the Federal Palace has now become a world-class ultra-modern facility with a touch of elegance. The hotel, which has been recognized nationally and internationally, has become a tourist attraction for many. Perhaps this is the reason Femi Walsh Group decided to partner with the Federal Palace by supporting the hotel with resources and equipment for coverage of all the hotel's events. The president and CEO of Femi Walsh Group, Victor Oluwafemi Walsh, accompanied by the vice president, Idahosa Osamanze, paid a visit to the hotel during the exhibition of the popular Iriri Arts Gallery. It was a day of joy for each of the artists to see that the president of Femi Walsh Group was actually fascinated by their art pieces. Coordinator of the Arts Gallery also expressed his enthusiasm and joy, highlighting the exciting prospects and opportunities arising from the partnership.
Thank you so much, SOUQ TV, for coming over. It is about celebrating art and creativity. We themed it Luxury and Legacies exhibition. Luxury, as we all know, art is luxury, and the legacies that are left behind by artists are their crafts. So that is why we themed it Luxuries and Legacies exhibition.
Ambassador Victor Walsh encouraged the artists while commending their creativity. The general manager, Herman Britt, was excited that the collaboration between Femi Walsh Group and the Federal Palace Hotel exchanged pleasantries with the president and told Souqnews TV about his joy.
The energy is fantastic, and the support that you've given us is absolutely superb. So, yeah, watch this space, and your support is valued, and I love the partnership that you guys give us. So, looking forward to the journey with you guys.
Other members of the senior management of Federal Palace who were on hand to receive the ambassador and members of the Femi Walsh team include Temitope Ifiodun, HR Manager, Billy Uguechi, Events and Banqueting Manager, Chef Chris Onyanu, the Executive Chef of Federal Palace, Oluwatoyin Sulaiman, Housekeeping Manager, Dotun Arogundade, Digital Sales Executive. Each of this senior management staff shared their feelings about the collaboration.
We're actually so excited about this partnership with SOUQ News. It's going to, be beneficial for both Federal Palace Hotel and SOUQ News. And we know that all our new offerings will be extended to the larger world. We are actually doing things differently now. Federal Palace is actually doing a lot of things differently now. Our staff are ready to give the best of the best services to our guests.
To cover our events and take care of Federal Palace in terms of media and all that.
The Femi Walsh Group, consisting of all the different subsidiaries like Souqnews TV, the ALFM, Novacraft, and the machinery, look forward to doing great things with Federal Palace Hotel as we kick off the Prestige Partnership.
We're going places, and yes, with Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership, what we want to do is make sure that we're giving the clients of Federal Palace the best of the best of the very best in terms of coverage, streaming, videography, photography. So if you have a wedding ceremony coming up, you got the birthday party coming up, whatever you have coming up, all you got to do is make sure you contact Femi Walsh, because we give you the best of the best, The best of the very, very best.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Keep watching.
My name is Uyai. I'm a textured artist, and keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Alexander Beja, and keep watching SOUQ News.
Karim Joseph Aramide is my name. I'm a visual artist, and I'm going to tell you this. Keep watching SOUQ.
Hello, I'm Billy Macaulay Oguchi of Federal Palace Hotel. I'm the banqueting and events manager. Keep watching SOUQ News.
I'm Temitope Ifidon, HR manager of Federal Palace Hotel. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Thank you, guys.
Federal Palace.
See you soon.
Broad Street. Broad Street, situated in Lagos Island, is steeped in Nigerian history. Once the biggest financial hub of the country, it housed the headquarters of major banks, linked the CBN, the stock exchange, and the loads of lender companies. Broad Street is a historically significant street. It has played a central role in the development of Lagos and history, an important commercial and administrative center for the British colonial authorities. It was also a home to some of the city's earliest modern buildings. Broad Street was a residential area in the pre-colonial era. With the British came the Methodist Boys High School in 1878 and the Broad Street Prison in 1882, renamed Freedom Park. The General Hospital, which was a British military hospital, was built in 1893, being the first general hospital in Nigeria. The old British Secretariat building, which is now the Federal Ministry of Justice, was built in 1906. Broad Street has seen a full turn into modern commercial office blocks, complexes, skyscrapers, and markets from the outer marina through Akpombo, early into the Adeniji-Adele Road. Broad Street is one of the busiest streets in Nigeria on weekdays, where commercial activities take place day and night. From modern buildings to ancient structures, this street gives one a raw dose of life in Lagos. Broad Street is often referred to as Lagos Financial District. It boasts a mix of architectural styles, reflecting its long history, colonial-era buildings, Victorian and Edwardian architectural features, alongside more modern skyscrapers and structures. Broad Street remains a vital, vibrant part of the Nigerian economy. Broad Street. SOUQ Enlightenment.
My name is Shino Gbadegeshin. I'm the CEO of Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Aton Keme. I am the head of MSME Banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
When you visit Lagos for the first time and Google fun or recreational places in the city, at the top of that list will be Freedom Park. Located in Lagos Island on Broad Street, Freedom Park over the years has become home to the Nigerian arts and the culture at large. From annual big shows like the Lagos Theatre Festival, Celebration at the Lagos Poetry Festival, to local festivals that celebrate literature, music and arts, Freedom Park is one of the most visited recreational sites in Lagos, for both local and tourist people alike. A place to mingle, unwind, or simply just have fun. Freedom Park, however, hasn't always been a place of fun and games. It has a history that dates to 1861, when Lagos was made a British colony. In 1885, Freedom Park was built as a fortified prison from imported bricks. It was referred to as Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison. Some prominent political prisoners were held in the prison, people such as Herbert Macaulay, Michael Imodu, and Obafemi Awolowo. In 1979, Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison was destroyed, reduced to a dumping ground. It was later rebuilt in the 1990s, celebrated in 2010, Nigeria's 50th Independence Day. Freedom Park still holds a bit of its history within its walls. In the museum, where there are pictures and artifacts. Some of the old prison facilities have been converted into leisure facilities that people visit and enjoy today.
Well, I think as the name goes, we're still faring very well. We're still holding on. Basically, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited is a Nigerian company owned by the federal government of Nigeria, the 36 states, and the 774 local governments. The federal government has 47% shares in NDPHC, and the 36 states and federal capital territory, plus the 774 local governments, own the remaining 53%. Originally, it was supposed to be a stopgap, build and sell power plants to increase the power availability. But in the process, as the company moved along, they discovered that if you build power plants, you also have to build complementary transmission networks. And then if you have transmission networks, you will also need the distribution network so that the power can ultimately get to the consumers. And so because of the gap that was in the sector at the time, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited was asked to build more power transmission networks, substations, injection substations. So over time, we had grown into the behemoth that we are today. Principally, we have 8 power plants functioning now, and then 2 are in the process of being completed. So that's what Niger Delta has been. But basically, I can say without any iota of contradiction that Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited has been able to increase the capacity, the network capacity, by about 50%, and of course the distribution capacity by about 60%. We are capable of producing up to 4,000 megawatts now, but there are still some constraints in the transmission network, which is being addressed by the various arms of government and the various stakeholders in the sector. If I want to talk about the problems in the power sector, you need more than an hour program. They are multifaceted. And each time solutions are being found, they are not far-reaching enough. For instance, before the enactment of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, it was thought that the problem was we didn't have enough generation power, and that's what gave rise to the NIPP, which is the National Integrated Power Projects, which was basically to increase the power availability in Nigeria. And there were gaps because at that time, I don't think the solution was holistic enough. I'm talking of during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. You remember the National Integrated Power Project was conceived at the time. And it's strange that for the past many years, we are talking about 4,000 megawatts, 4,000. In reality, the available power in Nigeria is about 16,000 megawatts now, between 13,000 and 16,000 megawatts. So you wonder, why are we producing or generating or putting on the grid about 4,800 megawatts? So there's a gap. And the gap is basically the fact that the present network is aged. It's inadequate. There is fragmentation in the sector. You have, as of today, about 26 different bodies in the power sector. And it's a typical Nigerian problem. Once Nigeria identifies a problem, they create another agency to deal with that problem, rather than looking at the problem in the eye and say, this is the problem. And I can give you so many examples. For instance, traffic, which is very basic to everybody. When after the Udoji Award in the early 70s, I think it was in the early 70s, and people had phone to purchase cars, traffic began to grow. Now, instead of taking a holistic attitude and train the police to do what they're supposed to do, expand the road networks, and begin to put a culture of driving properly in the country, we created the yellow fever, the traffic wardens at the time. You remember at the time, traffic warden was separated from the Nigerian police. That's right. And the problem was not solved because the people were still constrained to virtually the same network of roads, more cars on the same network of roads. And then we stopped training drivers. So Federal Road Safety Commission was formed. And of course, I'm sure that you all know that the problem became worse. And now all of the state governments are creating their own variants of the Federal Road Safety Code. An example is LASMA in Lagos. And the people are still on the same roads. You know, so whereas we had 200 cars on a stretch of road, now we have 1,000. Now we have drivers who cannot read traffic signs, which are not even there. So today, when people see traffic lights, either in Abuja or in Lagos, I mean, they don't even know what to do. I'm sure that, I can't remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. I cannot remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. You know, it's the same thing with the issue of corruption. When we detected, corruption was increasing, we started creating so many variants of, and I always ask the question, where is the equivalence of EFCC in the countries that we're trying to be like? So we have created EFCC, we have created ICPC, we have created Bureau for, what's that other agency? Sorry? No. Those are another problem entirely. The BP and the BPP, you know. I mean, I'm talking of Code of Conduct Bureau. Okay. But in all honesty, can we say that corruption has reduced in Nigeria? Can we say that? So the problem is that we don't look at problems in the face and deal with the issue rather than creating bodies and bodies and bodies and bodies. We don't have the variants of EFCC, ICPC, and Code of Conduct Bureau in the countries that we're trying to be like. In this age and times, honestly, there are no, you don't need, it's not rocket science. There is hardly anything you want to do that has not been done before or that is not being done in some other places. I mean, so you see in various sectors that once we identify a problem, rather than look the problem in the eye and providing solution to it, we create another body. It will appear to me that it is finding job for the boys, you know, and that is one of the reasons why we are where we are today. I cannot remember the last time anybody had to do driving tests to obtain a driver's license. I can't remember. In the US, if you want to obtain a driver's license, it's a long process. And I remember my daughter, when she went to the US at the age of 18, I remember when she wanted to go and obtain a driver's license, she called me and said, "Daddy, please pray for me." And I think the first time she went there, she didn't make it. And it was one slight excuse, error. And eventually, she had to go back, you know, to retake the test. So that's what I see that we're doing wrong. And that has virtually destroyed all the sectors. The power sector is faced with so many problems. I was trying to explain to you, for instance, that the discos have various coverage areas. And if you take them one by one, you will see that some of them are covering a landmass that is bigger than 2, 3, 4 African countries together. You know, somebody was on my secondary school classmates forum. Somebody was trying to do a comparison between Botswana and Nigeria. And I said, Botswana has 581,000 kilometers, square kilometers. But 70% of that is Kalahari Desert. So effectively, what they have is less than 100 and something thousand kilometers. Nigeria has a vast land. Botswana has a population of 2.5 or 2 point something million. You can't compare that to, there's no basis. There's no basis. And so if they have 1,000 naira, their GDP is likely to be higher than that of Nigeria. You know, Nigeria has 210 million people. Officially? Yes, officially. You know, you can see the population of Lagos. I'm sure that the population of Botswana is not as thick as Surulere alone. I'm not trying to give excuses for what we are in Nigeria or how we're doing things badly. But I'm saying that we have a giant problem. We have giant problems in all of the areas. And we need to put our heads together to provide solutions to these problems. You know, you can say that Nigeria is a country in progress. I know that we have enough human resources, we have enough intellectuals to find solution to our problems. And I'm beginning to see that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is tackling the problems headlong. I don't want to say that they work in silos. I mean, it would not be absolutely correct. I don't want to say that. That would be too negative. I would like to say that there's need for better collaboration between all of us. And then one of the greatest things that we need to do is that there must be a coordinating agency that is not encumbered with or by bureaucratic procedures. Okay, NEC is supposed to be the regulator in the society. Now, like I said before, if you have a regulator, they must be trained. And we shouldn't be ashamed to train our regulators and to ensure that we have the right people in those positions. But like I said, almost all the agencies in Nigeria, you find a lawyer heading an engineering company. You know, I mean, it's not done. And what happens is that I don't want to create a war between professions. But the truth of the matter is that if you are a lawyer and you have you're doing legal consultancy in the sector, that doesn't make you to be chief executive of a purely engineering company. You know, the last time it was an accountant that was in charge of one of the parasitals in the sector, and you know, even now that there's a new government, you see all kinds of people trying to outdo each other here and there. TCN, for instance, is supposed to be in charge of the transmission networks, but you have the independent ISO under them. How is that going to work? I mean, that is supposed to be an independent, and it cannot be under TCN. Yeah. You know, the discos, for instance, who is supervising them? NERC is supposed to supervise them, but you have on the board BPE, you know, that has 40% of the shares, and they're supposed to monitor them. Are they doing that? And then now the Yoruba people say amukun eru ewo oni wosaleni. That is, if a man is crippled or has bent knees and is carrying a load, it's not likely that the load will be straight because the legs are bent anyway. So that is the problem that we have. You know, the root cause, we are not attacking the root cause. You know, the electricity power sector reform has a transition program. But unfortunately, because we didn't do the privatization properly, we gave it to people who have no financial resources. They borrowed money from the banks to purchase the concession anyway. You know, because they borrowed money from the bank, they don't have enough funds to repair the aging facility that they inherited. So that is a problem. Now the bank is on them. The bank lend them money for 5 years, or whereas this is a sector that is, you need long-term fund. You need to have enough money to lay new cables, replace transformers. Some of these transformers have been there since 1960-something, to replace them. Look, where I come from in Ondo South Central District, we have not had power for up to 15 years now from the national grid. Everybody is an electricity generator company on his own. When we stepped into it to see what was happening, we discovered that the distribution company did not have enough money to repair the damaged distribution networks. So NDPC stepped into it, and we've spent almost 3 billion to repair all of that.
3 billion.
Or almost 3 billion. I mean, we're talking about 6 local governments. At a point, by the time we had finished the reticulation of the networks in 5 of the local governments, we discovered that the source of supply is from Ondo. Ondo has a 2 by 30 MVA substation. One of that substation is gone. So it means that the distance of almost 100 kilometers from Ondo to Ore and to Ilaje, to Igbokoda area, to Mahin and co. Just one single 33 kV line is coming from that. So by the time the light gets to Okitipupa, what you have is candle light. It's the same thing we saw in Lafia, for instance. For years, Lafia, even the government house in Lafia, was being operated on generator, because the single line feeding Lafia and the entire Nasarawa state is from Abuja. So that's why we stepped in and built the 330, 132, 33 kV substation, which was commissioned early last year by President Muhammadu Buhari. And you can see the joy in the faces of the people. Now, in Ondo South Central District, for instance, they are building the NDDC, not NDPHC, is building a 132 kV substation in Uderinije, which should help to bring power from Omotosho and to that area. But they have been on it for years now. And without the completion of that, there's nothing that can happen in the place. They will still have candlelight. So these are the problems. Now, NDDC is independent of NEC. It's virtually independent of the DISCO. It's independent of but they are doing a good work, because they have offered to do, they have identified the problem and they have offered to do it. But who is coordinating these activities to ensure that everybody is working? And you know, one of the things I always complain about is that since this past 6-10 years, for instance, TCN has many of its projects are 85-90% completed. Some of the problems are just way-live, that the government should collaborate with the state governments to resolve. But what do you have? A substation is ready in Akure, for instance. A 330 kV substation is ready in Akure. The transmission line is supposed to come from Oshogbo to Akure, and another transmission line is supposed to come from Benin and drop in Akure. Because of way-live issue along the route from Oshogbo to Akure, that project has been stalled for almost 6 years. So there has to be an organization that is above NEC, that is linked only to the president, that will look at all of these things. I talked about the fragmentation in the sector. You know, look, and let me tell you something. I know that electricity is a commercial venture. Yeah. And when you put your money there, you should be able to recover your investment. However, it's also a social contract between the government and the people. It's a social contract. You know, so if you have such a transmission line, everybody should be involved. And I remember that it has to be a responsibility. I remember when we were doing a project in Owerri, and because the transformers have been there for a long time, we needed to remove the transformers to a workshop somewhere in Ikorodu there for repairs, so that when they take them back, it can function properly. And we had given authority to the EPC contractor to go and remove the transformer. But of course, when the community saw that they were removing their transformer, this was a transformer that has not been functioning for the past 10, 15 years. They refused to let them go, and the governor had to intervene. The governor also refused to let them take the transformer away. I had to personally intervene with the governor, speak with the governor, write an undertaking before the transformer can be moved to the workshop for repairs. I mean, it's not repairs, but you know they need to change the oil and make sure it's in good working condition, because it's been on the plinth for 15 years. So there has to be a coordinating agency that is devoid of bureaucratic encumbers. Initially, NDPC was created from the Federation account. The initial seed money for NDPC was from the Federation account. However, since we started producing electricity, let me put it that way, we don't receive subvention from the government. So our revenue is from the sale of electricity, sale of energy to the network and to what we call willing buyers. For instance, you will see that we still, even outside the country, we sell power to countries outside Nigeria. Yeah. So that's how we derive our... But because also we are owned by the 3 tiers of government, we have also embarked on working with the other sectors to improve the network. For instance, we build distribution. So from the profit that we have, we build distribution networks virtually in all. There is no state in Nigeria that has not felt the impact of NDPC. And then we, like I said, the transmission substation in Lafia was constructed by NDPC. It's like LNG. I mean, LNG cannot receive subvention from the federal government anymore. I mean, of course, initially, government put in their own investment and the private sector put in their own investment. I'm hoping that we will move away from this structure in NDPC. I'm really hoping that we'll move and adopt the NLG structure, for instance, and bring in a huge investor to acquire 49% so that we can start operating like an LNG. There's a lot of confusion in the society, and even those some high government officials don't even know the functions of NDPC. They don't even know. I mean, we were in a gathering some time ago, and a former minister who claimed to have been a part of the conception of NDPC was annoyed when somebody threw a question at him, and he said, "What are you talking about? I don't have power in my house, and you guys are sitting down there." And I had to lecture him and say, "Hey, I'm not supposed to put power in your house. I'm just a businessman, in the sector, producing oil, producing power, electricity, like every other person, like, what's the name of Elumelu's Transcorp Power, and selling it. That's all we are."
thank you once again for inviting me over. What would I say? Just doing a lot of wonderful things all over the world, working towards development of humanity in the areas of most especially sports development, football management, football administration, and other businesses I'm involved in. So that's what I've been up to. Well, basically the National Sports Commission is there to ensure that sports development is put in the proper perspective. There are a lot of papers, a lot of policy papers, a lot of things that have been put in place. So they need to go into it, look at it, and structure something positive out for the development of sports in the country. I'm sure they have all what it takes to do it, and the zeal and the power to go ahead and put those things in place. So that's basically what they need to do. How the implementation is key. And I know, well, one way or the other, they should have the wherewithal to do it. So I wish them all the best. Well, you see, I don't like criticizing. I think I've gone away from areas of criticizing, but the standard of the league is very poor. And they have to put all efforts together to improve on the league. Also the technicalities of the game, the manpower. We have to, we're still doing what we practiced 15 to 10 years ago. So it's not changed. So all those things have to change. We have to go away from the mediocre ways of running the game and put in more investment in development of the game itself. Clubs have to be. It's so sad that we in Nigeria prefer to watch the Premier League compared to the Nigerian Premier League. It's a sad story. I remember 40 years ago, you could go to the stadium and watch our local, amateur league, and there were standards. So there's no reason why we can't bring that back. It's the wherewithal, the willpower to do it, and the stem from having to go away from the area of mediocrity, where we bring in professionalism. We have the people that can do it, without any doubt. But for the system to allow them come in and do those things is another question. How that is going to be done, we've talked about it for many years, but nothing has been done about it. I pray and I hope someday they'll put up the proper perspective and the willpower to do those things. When it comes to grassroots football, we really have to start with kids from a very early age. We must have we have to start with them from age 5 to 16, to 18, to 20. So you have to have a sequence, a system where you build around from the very younger ones, and you have a uniform structure. Number one, we have to identify the kind of football we want to play in Nigeria, our type of flow, our ethos, what we want to play. And then we can now imbibe that, put it in our kids from a very early age. So from age 5, you go under 5 to under 8, under 8 to under 12, under 12 to under 16, under 16 to under 18. You have those structures in place. And it's spread around the nation. Now, where it's not the under 5 or under 18 where you put a 20-year-old or 25-year-old. We have to have a system where those kids are registered and we can monitor them from a very early age. You understand me? Where we don't cheat, where we bring in the right age and we train them to perform at different age group levels. And going into from there and then going into the national sides, so we can start playing the under 10, under 15, or under 16, under 18. You understand me? So those structures have to be in place, which we don't have today. There must be uniformity. You understand? So if we can do that in the future, we will progress. But there must be a system in place. We must have coaches that have been trained to work with the kids from that very early age. And those coaches are trained within the system, within the Nigerian Football Federation, and then they're sent out to work with those children all over the nation. The football academies we have today are only out to sell players. You understand me? So what I'm saying here is where we have, I'm not saying academies shouldn't sell players or not. Those players in the academies, if we have uniformity, should be playing in the league. And then we must have a cap where we say, look, until you're a certain age, you can't leave the country. You must play in that league because we've invested in you. We've invested in those kids. So maybe they will have to play till they're 20 or 18 or 19 where they can now go out, you understand, to play abroad. But there must be a structure in place. And there must be laws guiding it. That's the only way we can excel. It also goes to it also goes back to what I've been saying. The girls, the female team in Nigeria today, I believe the girls, I call them girls or ladies, are the ones that will ever win the World Cup first. They got the capacity, they got the women football, they can win the World Cup. They've got what it takes. But then it now goes back to our attitude and the corruption in the system. You understand me? If you allow the other girls from a very early age develop, and you have the same system I'm talking about, that cap of under 5, under 8, under 10, and you structure and you do it continuously in uniformity, we will be world beaters. We will win the World Cup at any given time because the women have got the grit. They pick up very faster than our army. They tap the balls. They are more technically better, within that range. So, but it's for us to develop those things and to take away corruption. First, when we talk about indigenous coaches, what coaches do we have? You see, if you don't have a competitive league, a highly professional league, how do you want to get good coaches? You can't get good coaches. The coaches, it's not that we don't have the capacity to build good coaches. We have a lot of talents in this country that can be world beaters, that could be top coaches. I talk to young stars. Young stars will talk to you about the technicality of the game. They're very bright. Even my son, when he talks to me about football, I think he knows the game better than I do today. The technicalities of the game, you understand me? The formations, how players play, back and forth. It's because you've given them the exposure. And we need to give our young stars that exposure. We need to develop them. That's what we're not doing. We have to invest in them. But for now, we have not done that. And what we're doing today is those bunch of coaches we have are not good enough to run the national team at that level of competition. I have one or two of them in America that are sound. They're there. But how many of them can you bring into the system? You understand me? Our local coaches, we need National Institute of Sports. Now, please, let's forget about the National Institute of Sports. That I use a word has been alamalized. That's a very poor system. It has nothing. We have nothing there. I'm serious. I'm not running anything. Our National Sports Institute is a disgrace. So we shouldn't be talking about that. Yeah. If you want to talk about a National Sports Institute, then you go to Australia and other countries and you see what it is. You see the standards. We don't have those things. Ours is archaic.
Is it beyond redemption?
There's nothing beyond redemption. It can be, we can work on it. We can develop it. We just have a time frame, work around it. See, there's nothing we cannot do in this country. We got everything possible to do it. It's the wherewithal. Do we have that mindset to do it? Are we ready for it? Those are the things we have to look at. Or do we want to continue with our mediocrity? But really, sincerely speaking, there's nothing impossible. We can do anything here. We've got great youngsters. We have to remove all this old, archaic way of thinking and then bring in a more modern, professional approach to things. So that's it. media is one of the most corrupt anyway, I'm sorry to say. The sports media and all that, the sports writers. I worked in the system, I know how corrupt they are. Majority of them are corrupt. I'm saying it. They can challenge me, but it's the truth. Until we get rid of all those things, where our boys go and collect envelopes to write or favor people, we're not going to get anywhere. I'm not saying the press in general, but the sports writers, I disgrace. See, the supporters club is not going to do anything or develop football. This is just to travel, get things. Oh, it's fine. It's good to have fans. But what has that got to do with football development? Nothing. Supporters club is not going to do anything. They're playing their own politics. You understand me? They want to travel. That's it. Travel around the world, do things. But is that part of football development? That is not football development. So let's leave that aside. We're talking about the professional, the technicalities, what it takes to develop national sides or a proper league. Then the supporters club has nothing to do with it. Do you see, how many people do you see at stadiums in Nigeria instead of watching football? Scanty, there's nothing. It's not like in the days where in the 70s or even in the 60s, if you're going to play a game at 4:45 in the afternoon, the stadium is full to capacity. At 11 in the morning. You don't have that anymore. So what are we talking about supporters club?
Is there a way we can bring that back, that passion?
Yeah, if you build a league that has the quality, the professionalism, and all the standards are put in place, then you can bring them back. Then you can bring the crowd back. I think it's very unfair to call it lesser sports. All sports are tops. Yeah, it's very wrong to call them. They're top sports. Basketball is tops. Athletics is tops. It's very wrong. I think it's very unfair to call them lesser sports. See, bottom line is the politics, the greed. You understand me? We have top talented basketball players all over the world. We could put them together. It's all about management. It's all about commitment. But you don't have those things there. It's about myself. It's all about self-aggrandization. What do I get from this? It's not about what do we do to build these teams or these athletes to be world beaters. Do you understand me? So you're not going to get anything out of it. You will never. It's the bottom line. You'll never ever get anything. So you'll always have factions, you'll always have people fighting. Why do you fight for what? If you can collectively come together to build a system, a structure for basketball, for example, because the girls are tops, they can perform, they could do far better than where they are today. I always tell you, the female teams in Nigeria will always excel in athletics, in basketball and all that. Our male are a bit arrogant and clunky in doing things, but the ladies are always more committed. They've got what it takes, but they need good management. It's not that the men can't do it too, the men can do it, but it all also evolves with good management. Taking away politics, taking away greed, not a situation where a coach is collecting money from a player to put a player in the team, or a member of the football association fighting for their children or family to play in the national team, or a member of government is asking someone to put their kids in the team. No, that's not it. Where is the nationalism? Where's that patriotism? Patriotism. I don't care where you come from. If you're good, you're good. If you're better than my own people, then my own people have to sit down and you let them, the others that can perform. Where would you have quota system in football? Where's that done? Do you understand me? So we have a lot of issues we need to resolve. Well, what do you expect? The athletes themselves are far more successful and far more exposed than the administrators. So the administrators obviously are always envious of those ones, and they make life difficult for them. Do you understand me? Where you have people that are not competent enough running a system, people that are not exposed, that haven't got the professional ethics to run the thing, that's what you get. Then the greed aspect, which is a standard norm for us in this country. Greed. Where people believe athletics is only, you being a member of the Athletics Federation is all about traveling. You understand me? He wants to travel, she wants to travel. She wants to be in the, what do you call them, in the group of people that are going away. See, you can never get no results. They're all fighting to get something. And then they don't care about the athletes. They want to be in a delegation that is going to travel. Do you understand me? So that's basically it. They're not interested in the development. They haven't got the zeal. You understand me, sir? So once you don't have those things, you can never get anything right. Yeah, the private sector is one. The cricket has more because, government involvement is not as, I think you have more of the private people, interested private people that have gone to schools, top schools, that played cricket in those days. Those are the ones that are promoting cricket. So you're going to get results, you understand me? Because they're far more exposed, they understand what it takes. So the commitment is there. They're using their own funds to push, to develop the game. You understand sports. So that's why cricket is picking up. Oh, you mean the National Sports Festival? I think for now we don't really need that. We need to do more with the private sector. I think the new chairman of the National Sports Commission, he seems he's an exposed person. I think he's got to sit right and see how he can profile solutions to these things and change the course of. He's got what it takes to do it. He just has to come out of that shell, come out of that darkness. I'll call it darkness, and come into real light. I think he has it. But National Sports Festival, I don't think we're ready. We really need that now. We need to do more with youth development programs. You see, a National Sports Festival in those days was more interesting because you had more schools, inter-school sports. And that is where the best athletes came from. We don't have that anymore. So first we need to build the school sports, schools, athletics and all that, build it to a standard and then go into national sports festivals. For now, we don't have that. And I think the National Sports Commission has to look into that, how they can work with the Ministry of Education and see how they can build that again. School sports. That's where you get the best. In those days, the best athletes, we knew those that will run, that will actually participate and run for Nigeria. We knew the ones that would do high jump, long jump, triple jump. We knew them, both female and females, from secondary school. You don't have that anymore. So where do they come from? Nowhere. So you have, like in those days where some schools will go and get mercenaries, pay for them to come and run. That's what you get today. So it's corrupt. Now, the Sports Commission has to work on that. It has to change it. I know they can do it. They just need to sit back and look at how they will change the course of things. If you want to unite Nigeria with good sports, then you got to give them good results, good teams that can perform. You understand me? In the process of winning competitions, or they have a team, or they have teams that have got the quality that can move the nation, then you unite. Everybody wants to watch good football. Everybody wants to see a great athlete running. You want to see a good high jumper performing at the best. When you see that, it draws everybody together. If you have a good national team that plays excellent football, look, in Nigeria, when you look at our team, the 94 team. We were the 5th in world ranking. You were talking about ranking, which I don't really. When we really had a good ranking, we were number 5 in the world. The 94 team was number 5. The World Cup 94, we were rated as the 5th best team in the world. And you look at the style of football we played. We developed our own style of football, took it to the world, and we were respected. We don't do that anymore. We have to have an identity. You understand me? Our footballers are not the best. We're good, we're very athletic, we're strong, we're physical. You understand me? We've got to build that kind of football. We are not as technical when it comes to techniques and all that, like the Europeans. But when it comes to the physicality, you understand me? We're better. When it comes to the physicality, the mental strength, we have it. So you have to build around that. You're putting a bit of technical things there, but the main issues is we got to have the muscles, the strength to run any team down. That's the kind of football we should play. We're playing lazy football now. We have to play what we played then, where we run any team down. We can play 2-3 hours non-stop. We never get tired. We don't have that anymore. We can't even string passes. We can't play 2 against 4, 3 against. We don't do it anymore. We're lazy. It's not only the coach. Yeah, the coach and then the association, the federation. They don't have a vision. You have to know what you want to present to the world. It's like any other top team in the world. In Real Madrid, Barcelona, they have their own type ethos, their own style of football. And this is what they sell to the world. We don't even know what we're doing. We have to have what it takes to sell to the world. This is what we want to do. This is how we can perform. This is the style we're going to play. And that style we believe in. And then we build the youngsters from very early to play that same type of football. We have the manual that we can work with. Uniformity. Simple. That's it. No, it's individual and the corporate organizations. They're not doing enough. Everything can't just be government. Today, you don't even have Nigerians pumping money into sports like they used to do that. I'm sorry, I don't want to digress, and I don't want to say what my father did. I'm not promoting my family, but I knew how he invested millions of dollars building the national teams. Yeah, his personal funds. You don't get those things anymore. Do you understand me? You have to see the 94 team was done outside the outside government. It was done by individuals. That was why we were successful. But you don't have those things anymore. You just have a bunch of greedy leaders and greedy individuals or corporate bodies. It's all about them and their family. They're not giving it. So how do you want the kids to perform? How? All the kids are out there wasting away. We've got great talents in this country, but they're wasting away because we're not helping out. We're not encouraging them. We're not building structures, institutions where you can build those, you can develop those kids. Yeah. So they're on the street doing yahoo, doing all sorts of stupid things. Yeah. Because there's no competition. There's nothing to draw their attention. You understand me? Until we do those things, we can never ever change. We can't get it right. Yeah, well, for me, I don't see any difference for me, whatever you give to the female teams, you also give to the senior, to men. Because our team, our female team, at the world ranking today, we're tops, we're recognized. So you have to also allow, but for men, anywhere in the world, men always have an advantage. But doesn't mean the disparity should be so much. You give the ladies, I remember, when I was the FA chairman, I remember once the female team was in camp, and we went there, when we found out what they were earning, it was disgraceful. They couldn't even buy their, I'm sorry to say that, what you ladies use, your pads, you couldn't even buy it. I had to tell them, these are women. Why are you treating them like rubbish? They have to be looked after. Because they're going to need more of those systems because you have more wastage than men. Don't let me go into what I'm saying, but I understand. So the women have to be well taken care of. Yeah, simple. So you've got to give them what it takes. Strike a balance. You have to strike a balance. The solutions I'm going to give you, I can't give you a straight off head, right? But really, since first, we have to get rid of greed. We have to go away from all this religiosity in the system, because religion has destroyed the fabrics of a nation. See, being a Christian or a Muslim or whatever doesn't mean you got to cheat people or lie to people or not show love. You understand me? Or the religious, when I come to religion, the churches, the institutions we have today are not developing education. There must be uniformity in education. They're not developing education. Education is key. But you know what we have today? Half-baked educated youths. Half-baked. And that's the worst you can ever have. And that is key in anything we do. First, to have good leaders, well-structured. In Germany, in Europe, and now, the kids that go to the best universities, some kids are developed, they're built up to the top civil servants. So they go to Oxford, they go to Cambridge, they become top politicians. Then you have the ones that will become big and top engineers, and now they go to certain universities. All those things are structured. We had it before in the past. It's gone. We've got to find the way. It's not about just giving licenses to universities. But for me, the foundation, education, is very key. When you have half-baked youths and you have half-baked leaders that haven't got that structure in place, that proper education, they can never excel. What are you going to tell them? They will never get it right. So that's very key. Now, when you talk about policies, who are the ones that are going to put the policy papers together if they're half-baked? Because you need policy papers, you need to have a better understanding of your environment, of the society. You have to have a better understanding of how the society will grow. So if you don't have that in mind, you can never develop. So you need those things to make the nation change. I'm just giving it in a nutshell. Yeah, you need more commercial, you need more private sector funding, you need more sponsorship, and then, like I said, you need more training. You need to train your coaches. Our referees are the most Nigerian referees. Do you see any referee participating in any African Nations Cup? No. Because, and you're telling me it's the best league. That's the most corrupt league in the world. Because our coaches are not even, our referees are not even allowed. They never invite them for any Nations Cup. So what are we talking about? What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Every match in the MPFL, most of the games, all home teams win. You don't see away teams coming to win. So are you telling me that's a balanced league? It's not a balanced league. It's a corrupt league. So that has to change first. When that changes, you understand me? And also, then other things will follow. You see, you have the National Olympic Committee that is run, by the private sector and government. Now you need to get the right people in the private sector to come in there to work with some people in government, people that have got the wherewithal, that got the financial muscle and the commitment to do those things. Not just people that are hustlers that just want to get something out of it. It's about people that want to give. That's what Olympics is all about. People that give, that are ready to give, to develop Olympians to be world beaters. People that truly want that mood, that soul of Olympics to excel. That's what we need. And that is what we have to work on. And that comes from leadership, that comes from the system, where you choose the right people that have got what it takes to build the Olympic team.
I was born on the 16th day of October, 63 years ago. I'm from Opobo, yeah, and went to school. I'm from Rivers State, from Opobo in Rivers State. Went to school in Port Harcourt, lived in Port Harcourt all my life, from primary to secondary school to A-levels. Then after A-levels, I got admission to Unilag. Immediately after Unilag, I got married, and I've lived in Lagos ever since. Well, it was fun for us because me and my husband were very young. My husband was 25, I was 21 and all that. But we learned on the job. We were friends. We were friends for 3 years when I was in Unilag, university. And we came out, we got married. So we're like children that just got married. But I had my parents. My parents were his very good friends. So when I get naughty, he would report me to my parents. When I didn't know these kind of duties were demands of somebody's wife, they would tell me this is my responsibility. I'm like, no. I will agree to some, I will not agree to some. But I mean, it was fun. We had our ups and downs, but we kind of pushed through it. And then the children started coming, and it was a different ballgame. You know, when you come from that kind of family, it's like part of your system. You don't really regard it as anything anymore. But sometimes I get the shock of my life because there was a time my in-laws came to Opobo for one ceremony, and I saw the king. And he gave me a hug and he gave me a pick, and they were like, whoa, the upper Benin won't even shake your hands, you know, as a woman. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's the same family, you understand? So we're used to that. I think we take it for granted. But maybe some other people say, you must call me a princess, you must call me that. I'm not into all those kind of things. I'm not at all, I've never been. So I can't start tomorrow. But yeah, great King Jaja of Opobo, my great-great-grandfather. And my children, when they studied it in school, they went to Corona school. So they came, Mom, we're telling our teacher and our classmates that this King Jaja of Opobo, they taught them about King Jaja of Opobo in school. And they said, that's my mommy's great-grandfather. Like, whoa, no, it was like a big deal to them, for us. Absolutely, upbringing and my personal choice too, because you could be brought up one way and choose to go another way. You understand? One of my philosophies in life is like this: you're not the tallest in the world, you're not the shortest, you're not the prettiest, you're not the ugliest, you're not the richest, you're not the poorest. Oh, of course, get with it. Do you understand? If you're looking for beauty, there are more beautiful women than you. So if you're looking for ugly, there are uglier women. If you're looking for tall, you're looking for it. So what is it? You understand? You didn't come into this world with anything. You're not going to go with anything. So just be grateful to God for whatever you have or whatever you are. Work towards improving on it, improving your relationship with God Almighty and improving your relationship with your fellow human beings. That's my philosophy in life. So what's the point of carrying all the air and chips on your shoulder? It makes life heavier for you. Journey 7 is my favorite number. It's a number for perfection, and I was born on the 16th of October. My star sign is Libra. We're always looking for perfect balance in everything. It's just an influence from the horoscopes, I'm told. But J is my husband's name, D is my name, and 7 is my favorite number. Lazy way of forming the name of a company, isn't it? So I did, and it stuck. And I knew I was going to go into couture, so that was it. Easy. I was a victim of circumstances. I keep saying it. I didn't really come into business to be a fashion designer, to go into fashion, and creativity has always been something that's innate. Okay, even before I started making clothes or doing this, I used to always give designers the styles that I want them to make for me. I didn't have tailors. But when I finished my NYSC at Nigerian Television Authority in Victoria Island, I decided I wasn't going to work there. I wanted to work in a more organized setup. You understand? Because of management traineeship, because I never worked all my life. You know, my parents were very protective. I'm the last girl in the family. They were always very protective. You know? So I said I wanted to work somewhere, and I prayed about it. And I got into Unilever. Then it was called Lever Brothers. And for 5 years, but you know, the intensity of work there became a bit much for me because I was a young mother. I had 2 kids then. Was going on having the 3rd one, so it became a bit time. Sometimes Unilever was one of the biggest. When the international directors come in, we used to be the ones to host them with all the Unilever affiliates. Linkers, the advertising agency used to be here, all the Nigerian breweries, USC, you understand, AJC, we're all Unilever group. Sometimes I won't get home until 3 a.m. when we're hosting, and with kids in the house, it can be a bit much. So I'm like, I prayed about it and I decided something has to give. It's either your family, your children will not give them the attention they need then, and they were growing fast, or your job will suffer, and then you will not be happy, whichever way. So I decided, you know what, let my priority be my family. And I decided to go back. And I put in my resignation. That was not what I'm fine. When I did, my chairman refused to accept the resignation. So I had to use another way to encourage him to accept it. So I left Unilever. I said, okay, I wasn't the type of person that was suited for being a housewife. I wanted to do the kind of business I would do, but still have 100% time for the kids. So when the kids said they're having something in school, I'm there, okay? I decided I was going to just market corporate gifts. When I was in Unilever, I was the assistant corporate affairs manager in charge of press. So, and being in Unilever at the corporate affairs level, I already knew a lot of companies. So I used that opportunity to get back to those companies and introduce my new business. And in the first year, I actually made more money than my 5-year stint in Unilever. So that was the normal encouragement. You make more money, do your own business. You have more time for your kids, for your family, and for yourself. And you travel quite a bit because you have to go and buy the corporate gifts. So it was a win-win. Then, a few years down the line, the president, Olusegun Obasanjo, came in and said they were doing backward integration and they were going to stop the importation of all this corporate gift and a lot of other things. So we were actually forced to look inwards. And when we started looking inwards, that's when it hit me that apart from Big, that was being produced by Eleganza, we're not really manufacturing anything in Nigeria apart from textiles and maybe I think Eleganza was doing food flask or something. And which corporate body do you want to give as end of year gift? So what we had to do now, because a lot of my clientele were like Shell, Chevron, I started looking inwards. I said, okay, if I have to do something, I can do beddings, pillowcase trimmings, table covers, table placemat, napkins with fabrics like I showed the other day. I can do jute bags, you know. It came to me. So I had to go and buy one machine and employed one tailor. So sometimes they will call me. I did some samples. So when, even in Abuja, when they were going to have, like I remember the West African Women's Affairs, they had a conference. So they wanted jute bags, and we had about 1,000 or 2,000 jute bags, and that was quite nice. Plus, apart from the end of year, so that's it. But you know, after those periods, you have periods of lull, like you're not using the machine and the tailor. You have to be paying tailor for doing it. I'm like, why am I going to these people to make my clothes? Tailor, oh yeah. This is the style I want. I started first by giving some of my clothes, repeat it. You did well. So I started designing. I could sketch very well. I was a science student in school, but I could sketch really well. So I was scared she would do well. And sometimes when I wear the clothes and I go to supermarket, some women will just call me, hey, I really like this thing you're wearing. Please, where did you make it? I'm like, okay, I'll give you the address. I give them the address. They started coming. Before I could say that, within 1 month, I had over 50 women I had to make clothes for. And the one tailor was no longer enough. I had to employ 2 others. That was how we started. From 2 to 4, then I had a whole factory before you could say that. I started making school uniforms, started doing all kinds of things. And then some of the magazines, like Genevieve magazine, looked at me and like, are you sure you make this outfit? I thought you were a broadcaster. I thought you sell. I said, yes, I did. So I did some photo shoot session for her. And I modeled the clothes, actually. And whoa, I started getting calls from Paris, from the UK. I did DC Fashion Week. I was just, and they will pay your ticket, pay your hotel, please come and showcase for us. Some will even say, please come and open the show for us. Some say, we want you to close this. I'm like, okay. There are places that I would never have thought of going to, like Burkina Faso. They will back me the top fashion designers that would, when the Al-Fadi does this, they want every 4 years. Al-Fadi in Niger. The Niger government sponsors it. He calls all, including Elisab, every international designer, they will go, especially the Moroccan ones, those North African ones, Indians. So they invite one designer from each country. So they used to call me to come because of what I used to work a lot with Ankara and Ashok, and I do international acclaimed, how would I put it, couture outfits with Ankara, big hats, funny looking, structured clothes and all that. So that was how it went, And I did all the magazines. I've won all the awards. So after a while, I started thinking of concentrating on exports. In the process of doing that, my husband took ill. After 2 years, we lost him. So when I came back home, I gave a lot of things a lot of thought. My kids were still in school. My daughter got married. She was in Australia already. And then my 2 boys were still in school. So I said, look, this fashion design group is not going to pay school fees in pounds sterling and dollars. So I said to myself, you know what? Why don't you give the man hours to the industry, the family business that were yielding the most income? That was how I started kind of just saying, you know what, let me just minimize it a bit. My core clients were still coming. So I kept the tailors, my experienced tailors that worked with for years. I kept few of them. And I kind of cut down on that business. I said, you know what, let me just go and face the family business and do this for the people who really know what I'm doing. And word of mouth goes. So I'm still doing that, but my priority is really not that, When you look at me the first time you see me, you see a fragile woman that don't like to sweat, that's spoiled, that like to be kept. I'm like, what? Absolutely not. My husband didn't want me to do anything. He just felt he wanted to spoil me. I said, that's not how to love me at all. Please. It's either you kind of understand the person I am. I'm a very creative mind. This mind has to keep working, or I'll make life miserable for you, What I will advise, even women who are willing to work, you don't even do one job. You must get at least more than 2 streams of income. Otherwise, you will not make ends meet. That is the truth of today's world. You understand? Then those ones that want to be kept, no matter how wealthy your husband is, wealth is not static. Some people start today. When they retire, everything goes downhill. Some people mean well. They love you. They want to take care of you. But nature calls. They part ways. Some marry other women, some leave, some die. You understand? So anything can happen. I would advise them, everybody, try to be as independent as you can, financially independent. I think you actually earn more respect when you do that. And then also, when things don't work out too well for the husband, no matter how rich you are, you don't have to put him through too much stress. You can take care of yourself, you can take care of yourself, you take care of him, you encourage him. But let him not feel that the world has come to an end. You know, a man feels happy when he knows that his back is covered, even when he's not making it. You understand? It doesn't make him lazy, it makes him very grateful. Yeah. So I will advise everybody, get something doing. Do something that will enable you to earn good income if you can. Do something that you also enjoy doing. I've always believed in garbage in, garbage out. Yeah? Garbage in is the stress abound. You cannot control that. But you can control your attitude towards stress. Stress is the #1 killer and ages of everything in this world. It's your attitude to stress that you have to manage, and that depends on you. What you put in your mouth also depends on you. Your mind, your heart, your spirit, your soul. You have to be loving, you have to be forgiving, you understand? All that depends on you. So it's actually you that decides whether you're going to age gracefully or you're not. Forget about the genes first. It's true. You understand? Some people are so malicious, when you offend them once, oh my goodness. They will carry it in their chest and the chest will be expanding and they won't sleep well and they begin to have problems. Meanwhile, the person you're angry with does not even know you exist. It's crazy. So for me, it's just be free and take life easy. Take it as it comes and always be grateful to God. I'm too honest and straightforward. It's either I will be killed immediately or because I will tell you the truth no matter who's asked is God. I don't think I can play politics. I'm not a politician at all. I am a very straight shooter. I will tell you to your face when you're doing stupid things. That was my relationship with my mom, my dad, my husband. So most times, I'm the last girl in the house, so maybe when they were disciplining the first ones, by the time they got to my turn, they were a bit tired. So we could talk to my parents anyhow. But I don't do it to create whatever. I just feel that if anybody worth talking to, is worth talking to with honesty and integrity. And when you want to play politics, they will see something that is black. They will say it's yellow. I can't do that. For the love of me, I can't. So politics is not my call. And because of that, they will not allow your creativity to come out, your sincerity. What's the point? Yes. I'm actually planning some kind of, I met some of my old models that are doing very well. And you know, when you deal with a lot of these girls, some of them have traveled with me to Niger. Sometimes they'll tell you, bring 2 of your models. You know, some of them, we have very good relationship. We're going to do a reunion one of these days. It will be fun. And they are all calling, when are we going to do this? I say, don't worry, we'll get a reunion done. Because we need to revisit the fashion industry, see how things are going. They're doing well. The new ones are doing well. And I just pray that the environment will not discourage them, you know. It's not just Nigeria, it's the world. Whatever is happening in Nigeria is what the truth is. A crate of egg in Nigeria is still cheaper than a crate of egg in the US and in the UK, even with the exchange rate. So it's not just Nigeria, the world is experiencing some kind of. The way I see it is like the pangs of birth before the child finally comes. You know, that intense labor. And then when the child is born, everything is calm and beautiful, everybody's happy. I think we are just towards the end of the labor pain. It's going to get better, but we're going to pass through a lot of that before it gets better. And when it finally gets better, we'll all be smiling. But right now, the whole world, not just Nigeria, is crazy. If you look at international, listen to international news, it's actually crazier than here. I just pray. Yes, I live opposite, I won't even say it, on the street. One of the big men that live on that street, his birthday was yesterday, and the whole street was filled with beggars, hungry people. It was really crazy. I felt so bad. We were pushing each other, killing each other, fighting just to get a plate of jollof rice. It was very sad. It didn't used to be that bad. There were a few people who would come hang around, but the whole street, I couldn't move anywhere yesterday because of it. But I hope it gets better soon, so that the best in all of us can come in. Because hunger and poverty can actually bring out the worst in people. Naturally, yes. I have an NGO that I do. What I do, I take girls, young girls that are not able to complete school because of poverty, and I educate them. You understand? I try to pay school fees, help people. I believe in education a lot. Yeah, because I don't believe in giving you the fish. I believe in teaching you how to fish. I have few of them from my place come stay with me. Some of them are able to stand the discipline. Some of them are not able. So the ones that are able to stay, they stay and they do very well. Some of them, I train from a distance and they do well. So I've had university graduates, I have the levels, I have all kinds of things. That's what I do. And most people come to me naturally, not because I'm a trained mentor or anything. When you do anything out of love, an act of sincerity of purpose, and because they see you as genuine, they listen to you. You understand? When you mean well, you tell people the honest truth, and they, it's not easy sometimes, but yes, a kind of mentor.